Hey everyone, ready to dive deep into success and happiness.
Ooh, I like that.
Today we're really going to try to unpack some of Kevin Hart's wisdom from his interview on the Jay Shetty podcast.
You see him and you just think, comedian.
Yeah,
But he gets really deep in this.
really does, gets real. So have you got that video queued up and ready?
I do, yeah. It's pretty fascinating.
Awesome. So let's jump in.
Okay.
Well, right off the bat, Hart drops this powerful analogy. He compares fame to a drug. And not just any drug. He calls it the biggest drug out there.
Yeah, the biggest one. And it makes sense, doesn't it?
It does, kind of like a high.
Yeah, like you get that rush, that feeling of being on top of the world.
You're invincible.
Exactly. Like you can do anything.
But, and here's where things get really interesting for me, Hart doesn't shy away from the dark side of fame.
Oh, he definitely doesn't.
He talks about what happens when that spotlight fades, and suddenly you're left with, well, who are you without all of that?
Yeah, like who are you really? And that's where this self-reflection thing comes in.
Oh, he's big on that, isn't he?
Huge. And he's not talking about just a quick glance in the mirror before you head out the door. He's talking about like really deep, honest introspection.
Confronting your demons.
He calls them monsters, yeah. All those flaws and insecurities we all have. But what's fascinating, right, is how he frames this whole self-reflection thing, not just as a feel bad about your mistakes sort of thing, but as this like crucial tool for success and happiness.
So self-reflection isn't just about beating yourself up. It's more about understanding yourself better, like warts and all.
Exactly. It's about acknowledging those imperfections and figuring out how to work with them, you know? And that's how you grow. That's how you change.
Okay, so this is really making me think.
Good.
Hart actually points to a time in his own life when he was and I love this, self-proclaimed complacent teenager.
Right. He talks about just coasting through school, even faking his homework. I mean, can you imagine?
Wow. Not exactly the Kevin Hart we see today, huh?
Yeah. Not even close. But here's the cool part. He's actually grateful for that experience.
Wow.
He says it made him appreciate his transformation even more.
So knowing where you started makes you really appreciate the journey.
Absolutely. And this is where his mom comes in.
Oh, yeah, he talks about her a lot.
He does, and you can tell she was a huge influence. Like, he talks about how she was always instilling the values of hard work and perseverance in him.
But it didn't click right away.
No. It wasn't until later that those lessons really sunk in and shaped the incredible work ethic he's known for now.
It's amazing how those early influences can shape our paths, even when we least expect it.
Isn't it? It's like sometimes you don't even realize it's happening until much later.
Absolutely.
Speaking of family, he also gets really candid about his dad. You know, their relationship wasn't always smooth sailing.
No, he's really open about his father's struggles with addiction and being incarcerated.
Right. But what struck me was his mature perspective on it all. Instead of dwelling on the past hurts, he chose to focus on solutions, on how to build a better future.
And it's beautiful, right? He talks about how his dad eventually turned his life around and is now a really present grandfather.
Exactly. It just shows that even the most challenging relationships can evolve and find healing.
Really makes you think about the power of forgiveness, doesn't it?
So powerful. And it ties back to this whole transformation thing, you know, from complacent teenager to this powerhouse in the entertainment industry. So what were those key shifts that fueled this dramatic change?
He attributes a lot of it to this one question. Why not?
Oh, yeah, he talks about that a lot.
And it's so simple, yet so profound.
Right. He realized we don't have to limit ourselves to just one path.
So it's about embracing different opportunities, exploring different facets of yourself.
Exactly. It's about breaking free from those self-imposed limitations and saying yes to new possibilities.
Love that.
And you know, this all links beautifully with his emphasis on teamwork. Oh, teamwork makes the dream work, right?
He's adamant that no level of success is achieved alone.
Yeah, that really resonates with me, you know. It's so easy to get caught up in individual achievement, but we forget that so much of what we accomplish is a result of collaboration and support from others.
Exactly. He even goes so far as to say that his team's success is ultimately his success.
Wow.
And he's really learned to celebrate the contributions of everyone involved. It's all about shifting from an I focus to a we focus.
And this is something he's trying to instill in his own children, right?
Yes. He's really big on that. He talks about how it's not about that dog-eat-dog mentality. It's about building each other up and fostering a sense of shared achievement.
Which is a beautiful way to live, frankly.
Isn't it?
It really is.
He actually uses his friendships with fellow comedians like Dave Chappelle and Chris Rock as prime examples.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, like these aren't just colleagues, they're genuine friends who champion each other's success.
While also pushing each other to be better. Exactly. Like iron sharpens iron. They even share their material before shows, trusting each other's judgment and knowing that seeing each other succeed actually elevates the entire comedy scene.
That's incredible. That level of trust and respect.
It really is.
It makes you realize that success doesn't have to be a solitary pursuit. There's power in collaboration, both personally and professionally.
It's a beautiful thing. And this whole team thing, it isn't just in his personal life,
Oh, really?
Yeah, like Hart, he really believes in preparing for opportunities.
So you can't just wait for things to happen.
Exactly. You got to be ready when that door opens.
Be ready to hit the ground running.
Yes. And he actually tells this story about taking acting classes way before he even had an audition.
Wow, so he was already preparing.
Yeah. He wanted to make sure that when the opportunity came, he was ready to go.
That's such a good lesson. Like putting in the work behind the scenes, honing those skills.
Being proactive, not reactive.
I love that.
And it all ties into this other point he makes about his, well, he calls it his addiction to number one.
Okay, that sounds kind of intense.
It is. He's talking about this drive, this constant need to be the best, to top those charts.
I can see how that can be motivating.
Oh, definitely. But he also talks about the downsides.
What kind of downsides?
Well, the anxiety, the pressure, the potential for disappointment. Like, you're always chasing this peak, and it might not even exist.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Right. And to illustrate this, he brings up this study about Olympic medalists.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So they found that bronze medalists, they're often happier than the silver medalists.
Wait, really? That doesn't make sense.
I know, right? It seems counterintuitive.
It does.
But the idea is that those who came in second, they're so close to that goal, they get consumed by what they didn't achieve.
Whereas those who came in third, they're just thrilled to be on that podium.
Exactly. It's a good reminder, right? Sometimes just enjoying the journey, appreciating what you have accomplished, is more fulfilling than fixating on being at the very top.
That makes a lot of sense. Makes you think about how we define success. Is it about constantly chasing that next milestone? Or is it about finding satisfaction in the entire process?
Such a good question. And Hart, he grapples with this too. He's very open about his own imperfections, even with all of his success.
So even Kevin Hart has his monsters.
Oh, absolutely. He believes that perfection, it just doesn't exist. It's this constant battle, striving to be better, acknowledging your mistakes, learning from them, and just becoming a better version of yourself.
Yeah. And I mean, he had that wake-up call with his car accident.
Oh, right. That was a huge turning point for him. He talks about how it shifted his perspective, made him appreciate life even more.
Really put things into perspective.
Definitely. Made him realize that, success, fame, it's all fleeting.
What matters are the relationships.
Yes. And personal fulfillment. He talks about slowing down, being present, savoring those small joys.
It's so important.
It really is. And it's not just about his own well-being. He's super passionate about mental health awareness, especially with everything that's been happening in the world.
He's been pretty open about his struggles with anxiety, hasn't he?
He has. It's actually pretty powerful to hear him talk about it, like the pressure to constantly be on and how that affects you.
Yeah, it's a good reminder that everyone, no matter how successful they seem, has their own battles.
Exactly. And he's really trying to destigmatize these issues, encourage people to seek help when they need it.
Because it's okay to not be okay.
Exactly. And he's a big advocate for therapy, for finding those coping mechanisms.
Whatever works for you, right?
Right. Whether it's exercise, meditation, nature, connecting with loved ones. It's about finding what helps you.
Taking care of yourself.
Yes. And he's using his platform to talk about it, which is huge.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing he talks about is the whole comparison trap.
Oh, especially with social media these days.
Ugh, it's the worst, right?
It really is.
So easy to get caught up in comparing yourself to others. Feeling inadequate.
Like you're not good enough.
Exactly. But Hart, he reminds us that what we see online, it's not the full picture.
It's curated, it's not real life.
Exactly. So he encourages us to focus on our own journeys, celebrate our own successes, define our own values.
Because everyone's path is different.
Yes. There's no one-size-fits-all definition of success or happiness. He even suggests, curating your social media feed. Unfollow those accounts that make you feel bad. Connect with people and content that inspires you.
Create a space that supports you, not tears you down.
Exactly. And it's not just about personal well-being. He also challenges these societal norms, advocates for equality and representation.
He's been pretty vocal about social justice issues.
He has. It's inspiring to see him using his platform to amplify those marginalized voices.
To advocate for a more just world.
Yes. It's a reminder that we all have a voice, and we can use it to make a difference. You know, another interesting thing he talks about is success and failure.
Oh, how does he define those?
Well, he challenges us to redefine success, to base it on our own values and priorities.
So it's not just about external achievements.
No, he encourages us to find fulfillment in the journey itself. You know, celebrate those small victories along the way.
Love that.
And he's really open about how his own failures, especially early on in his comedy career, they were actually valuable learning experiences.
So he learned from those setbacks.
He did. They taught him resilience, perseverance. You know, they shaped his style, fueled his determination.
He turned those setbacks into stepping stones.
Exactly. And he's also really honest about his struggles with perfectionism. You know, that drive to be the best can lead to anxiety, burnout, that fear of not measuring up.
Yeah, that pressure to always be on.
Right. But he reminds us that perfection, it's an illusion. It's about embracing those imperfections, finding joy in the process, not just the outcome.
Yeah, that's so important. Being kind to ourselves, celebrating the progress, recognizing that we're all works in progress.
It's a journey. He also talks a lot about self-awareness, you know, checking in with yourself, your emotions.
Understanding yourself better.
Yes, understanding your triggers, your patterns, knowing when you need to step back, prioritize self-care.
Because sometimes you need to recharge.
You do. He's learned to recognize the signs of burnout and to prioritize those practices that keep him grounded and balanced.
Spending time with family, meditating, taking a break from social media.
Exactly. It's about creating that sustainable lifestyle.
Yeah.
And, you know, speaking of professional life, he has some really interesting thoughts on leadership and building a strong team.
Oh, I'm curious to hear this. He's built quite an empire.
So he talks about surrounding yourself with people who are talented, yeah, but also people who share your vision, people who push you.
I'll challenge you, yeah.
Exactly. And, you know, he's big on fostering this culture of, like, trust, open communication, respect.
And I think when you create that kind of environment, that's when people really thrive, right? They feel valued. They feel empowered.
And Hart, you know, he's really transparent about his own journey as a leader. Like, he admits he hasn't always gotten it right.
Oh, interesting. So what's changed?
He talks about learning to delegate more effectively, really trusting his team, and creating a space for honest feedback.
It's a good reminder that leadership is a journey, isn't it?
Yeah.
We're always learning, always growing.
Always. And, you know, alongside that whole leadership thing, he's also really passionate about hard work, excellence.
Like he doesn't just rely on his talent.
No. It's about putting in the hours, honing those skills, striving to be the best you can be.
Yeah.
He actually encourages us, you know, find what lights you up, what you're passionate about, and go after it, like with everything you've got.
It's so inspiring, this whole never settle attitude.
It is. But, you know, it's easy to think someone like Kevin Hart, like he's got it all figured out. But he's really honest about his struggles with work-life balance.
Oh, I bet. Trying to juggle it all. It's something we can all relate to.
It is, especially in today's world, right? Like everything's so fast-paced.
Yeah, it can be a lot.
But he's learned to prioritize his family, set those boundaries, delegate effectively. Like he doesn't try to do everything himself.
Recognizing that you can't pour from an empty cup.
Exactly. Taking care of yourself allows you to show up better for the people you love.
Absolutely.
And, you know, another thing he talks about that's pretty surprising is his spiritual journey, like the importance of faith.
You know, for someone who's always in the spotlight, it's refreshing to hear him talk about that deeper side, those beliefs that ground him.
It is. And he's not preaching, you
Yeah.
know. It's just about acknowledging that connection to something bigger than himself.
That makes sense.
It does. And hand in hand with that, he also talks about staying grounded, you know, especially with the fame and success. It's easy to lose sight of what matters.
So how does he combat that?
He's learned to recognize those ego traps and to cultivate humility and gratitude.
Because it's not all about the external validation, is it?
No, true fulfillment comes from using your talents to make a positive impact.
And he walks the walk, too, like with all of his philanthropy.
Oh, yeah, he's committed to giving back, using his platform to support causes he believes in. uplifting his community.
It's really inspiring.
It is. And, speaking of making a difference, he's also a huge advocate for learning, continuous growth.
Oh, so it's not like you reach a certain level of success and you're done.
No, he's always seeking out new knowledge, expanding his skill set, challenging himself.
That's great.
It's about embracing that growth mindset, that learning never stops.
It's a lifelong journey.
It is. He encourages us to stay curious, to ask questions, to never be afraid to try new things, even if we might fail.
So it's okay to make mistakes.
It is. It's about those lessons we learn along the way.
I like that.
And one more thing. He's also surprisingly open about finances, like building a solid foundation.
Really? So he talks about money.
He does, like learning to manage money wisely, investing strategically, securing his family's future.
Because financial well-being is important.
It is. It's not about getting rich quick. It's about making smart choices, building healthy habits.
Yeah, having that peace of mind.
Exactly. And as we wrap up this deep dive into Kevin Hart's world, what really stood out to me was his focus on legacy.
Oh, interesting. Tell me more.
It's not just about his own success, It's about leaving a mark on the world, inspiring others, creating positive change.
Leaving something behind.
Yes. So he encourages us, to really think about the impact we want to make, the values we want to live by, what kind of world we want to create.
It's a big question.
It is, but it's an important one.
Well, I think we've covered a lot today. What about you? Anything else that really resonated with you?
I think for me, it's his emphasis on authenticity, hard work, genuine connection. It's not about copying his path, but taking those core values and applying them to our own lives.
Yeah. It's been really inspiring to unpack all of this.
It has. We talked about self-awareness, the power of teamwork, the importance of well-being. It's a lot to take in.
It is. But Hart really reminds us that success is a journey, not a destination. It's about growth, resilience, using our talents to create a life that's meaningful.
A life with purpose.
Exactly. So as we all continue on our own paths, remember what we've learned here today.
Stay true to yourself, never stop learning, and strive to make a difference.
Beautifully said. And hey, maybe take a moment to reflect on those monsters.
Oh yeah, those challenges, those fears we all face.
Think about how you can tame them, not to become perfect, but to unlock a more fulfilling life.
Because that's what it's all about.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, everyone. Until next time.
Bye, everyone.